Picture the door closing. Not loud, just a polite, final click. Your phone sits face down. Your chest tightens. You rehearse apologies that sound hollow even to your own ears. Here's the brutal truth nobody told you. Chasing kills attraction. Women don't want a man who chases. They want a man who makes them want to chase. Not out of manipulation, but because he is sovereign over himself. Today, I'm going to teach you, step by step, how to flip the dynamic without games, how to become the kind of man whose calm and competence pulls people back. Not crawling in humiliation, but choosing you because you became someone worth choosing. Start with a hard reframe. This is not about tricking someone into submission. It's about sovereignty. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. If you accept that, the rest becomes surgical. Your job is not to control her choices. Your job is to control your response to them. When you do that, you stop being a satellite of someone else's attention. You become a planet with your own gravity. People move toward gravity." Now let's be clear on what chasing looks like. Chasing is frantic texts at 2 a.m., surprise gifts meant to patch a hole, public declarations designed to guilt someone into staying, or the 1,000 little ways you make your life revolve around someone else's mood. Chasing is loud and obvious. It communicates one thing: scarcity. Scarcity screams, "I need you to be whole." Women, like all people, are wired to respect sufficiency. Abundance pulls, scarcity pushes. So the first move is to stop performing scarcity. Detach, but don't dissociate. There's a difference. Emotional detachment here means steadying your internal weather. It doesn't mean you become cold, robotic, or dishonest. It means your emotional temperature is not dictated by her texting rhythm. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When she pulls away, your reaction determines everything. Practice the simple ritual of 5 deep breaths before every impulsive reply. Name the emotion: angry, afraid, lonely. Labeling reduces intensity. It gives space to choose. In that space, you will find your dignity. Do the no contact not as punishment, but as restoration. No contact is more than silence. It's a centrifugal force that recenters you. For 30 days, you stop feeding the loop of attention exchange that made your value diminish. You don't post passive-aggressive stories. You don't like her photos. You don't ask mutual friends about her life. You do not starve yourself of dignity for the hope of a quick fix. This is hard because we live in a world optimized for immediate feedback. But the discomfort of silence builds character, and character builds magnetism. While you're quiet, build visible competence. This is the practical core. Move your body. Train like someone who owes it to himself to be fit, not for anyone else's approval, but because strength stabilizes the mind. Work on a craft. Write, code, fix, learn. Small visible wins, an improved physique, a completed project, a consistent morning routine create a new signal that the world can read. Humans are social animals. We infer value from action. When you upgrade yourself, your surrounding reality upgrades with you. Rewrite your interior narrative with ruthless honesty. Most men tell themselves stories that are soft and self-defeating. "She left because I'm not enough," or "If I don't get her back, I'll never find anyone." Those are myths. Seneca said, "If a man knows not which port he sails, no wind is favorable." Know who you are outside of a relationship. Audit the stories and replace catastrophizing with facts. She left. You are hurt. You are capable of improvement. You will not dissolve because of this. Facts are fuel for strategy. Drama is fuel for collapse. When she reaches out, and many will respond like an adult, not like a wounded child. Wait. Don't respond immediately. Delay communicates that your life has direction. When you do answer, keep it short and neutral. Thanks for checking. I'm focused on some projects right now. Hope you're well. No begging, no long confessions, no instant intimacy. Curiosity is a better currency than confession. Ask a simple clarifying question if the message requires it, but avoid emotional monologues. If she wants to rekindle, she'll have to demonstrate consistent behavioral change, not weekly declarations. Boundaries are the muscle memory of dignity. Boundaries protect your time, attention, and emotional energy. If she asks to meet and you're busy, say you're busy. If she tests you by showing up unpredictably or by guilt-tripping, hold your line. This isn't about punishing her. It's about teaching what behavior you will and won't accept. Calmly enforce consequences. If disrespect continues, walk away. The clarity of consequence communicates value more effectively than any apology or promise. Make curiosity your operating system. Instead of assuming motives, ask clarifying, non-accusatory questions. What changed for you? When you say you miss what we had, what specifically do you mean? Questions slow the narrative and expose truths. Someone ready to rebuild will be able to answer honestly and with specifics. Someone not ready will circle in vagueness. Stoicism tells us to examine impressions before acting on them. Be that man who interrogates impressions, not one who acts on impulse. Practice vulnerability with structure. Vulnerability is necessary. Unfiltered vulnerability is naive. You don't dump your wounds into the first conversation that opens. You reveal with context and timing. A stoic vulnerability looks like this. I own the ways I failed, my inconsistency, my lack of follow-through. I'm working on X, Y, Z. I can't promise perfect change overnight, but I can promise measurable actions and to be accountable. That statement invites trust building rather than emotional begging. It signals ownership and a plan. Plans scale, apologies fade. Use negative visualization as a practical tool. Imagine the relationship ending, not as a melodramatic funeral, but as a diagnostic exercise. What would I miss? What will I keep? What parts of myself will I reclaim? This exercise reduces reactivity and helps you prioritize what truly matters. Stoics practiced loss in miniature to prepare for real loss. This is not fatalism. It's preparation for sovereignty. Turn heartbreak into horsepower. Channel the sting into disciplined action. Set a 90-day sprint with 3 measurable habits. Work out 3 times a week, complete a project milestone, and commit to 1 weekly social connection outside your ex. Track it. On day 30 and day 90, measure the result publicly, not to show off, but to create an irrefutable narrative of growth. People believe patterns, not promises. When she sees consistent change, curiosity becomes respect. Respect becomes attraction. Manage social signals. In an age of stories and likes, your absence can be louder than your presence. But absence without growth is empty. Don't ghost and then lurk. If you choose to be unseen doing something meaningful. Let your social presence reflect deliberate improvement. A post about a completed project, a candid story about a training session, a quiet photo with friends, small, non-needy glimpses of a life that's full without explanation. When your life looks substantive, the mind fills in absence with value. Be prepared to test for authenticity. If she returns with excuses, ask for concrete evidence of change. Words without repeated action are cheap. Ask for small, verifiable steps. Show me how you'll handle conflict differently. Let's set a weekly check-in where we practice honest feedback. Make trust rebuild small and demonstrable. Beauty in relationships is incremental repair, not grand declarations. Trust grows in steps and remains earned by consistency. Remember the paradox. The less you chase, the more your value becomes legible. Not because you are aloof, but because you are present for yourself. Presence is magnetic. Presence is keeping your word, showing up for your life, being calm when chaos arrives, and carrying a temperament that is steady. That kind of man is rare because it takes discipline to hold. Don't confuse rebounding with recovery. If you get back together, insist on new structures. A rebuilt relationship needs rules that guard against old patterns. Decide together what will be different and write it down. Hold each other accountable. If she is serious, she will agree to the tests. Accountability, therapy if needed, shared goals, and transparent communication patterns. If she resists structure and repeats manipulative behavior, the pattern will reassert itself. You must be prepared to walk with dignity. Cultivate a life so you are never defined by one relationship. That might sound cliché, but it's practical. Your social circle, your work, your health, your hobbies, diversify your identity. When your sense of self is multifaceted, no single relationship has the power to collapse you. Pride of place comes from competence across domains. The man who cultivates many channels of meaning becomes irresistible because he is already meaningful. If the wish is to win her back, hold one last truth. Winning someone's respect is not the same as winning someone's submission. True victory is mutual sovereignty. You want a partner who stands with you, not someone who crawled back out of shortage. Stoicism isn't about hardening your heart. It's about enlarging it. It's about being so clear in your value that anyone who joins you is doing so from abundance. End with a practice that's simple and savage in its effectiveness. Tonight, write a one-page letter to yourself. No drafts, no editing. On the first line, state the facts. What happened, how you feel, and what you will do about it. Then list 3 measurable actions you will take in the next 90 days to become non-negotiably better. 1 physical habit, 1 professional or skill habit, 1 social habit. Sign it, put it in an envelope, and forget it. On day 30, open it. Measure without drama. Repeat the process. This ritual externalizes accountability and kills the performance habit overnight. Finish with a quiet command. Become someone who doesn't need to be rescued by love because he is already whole with or without anyone else. That magnetism is not loud. It's a calm force that pulls. People come back to forces they respect. If she comes back, let her find you intact, improved, and uninterested in repetition of old patterns. If she never returns, you will still have built a life you don't have to apologize for. Either outcome is victory, because victory, in the end, is the reconstruction of your own character. Closing CTA: low volume, high intent. If this reached you, don't scroll. Write that one-page letter tonight. Choose 3 non-negotiable habits and start the 90-day sprint. Subscribe if you want a tactical 90-day plan laid out day-by-day templates for messages, rituals, and the accountability framework I just mentioned. Like the video if one point cracked the shell around something you thought was unfixable. Share it with one friend stuck in the same loop. And most of all, stop chasing. Start building. Be the kind of man whose silence is deliberate, whose presence is powerful, and whose life is worth returning to.